Welcome back to the Broken Tackle, the show where three football loving men talk about the football world and maybe have some biased views. I'm Jesse. Again, we're here with Caleb and Braden, your three hosts. And today is going to be a little bit more talking on the free agents, some recap of the signings. We're going to go over our mock drafts that actually just came out today over on our Instagram and our Twitter. So be sure to go check out those. That's the Broken Tackle Show, I believe is what the handle is, Caleb, on everything. Just
For most things, yeah.
okay.
I mean,
So
if you search that in anything, that's what's gonna come up. So,
perfect. So yeah, Broken Tackle Show, Broken Tackle Podcast. We are over here on YouTube and Spotify as well.
hold on. Sorry to
So
interrupt.
yeah,
So, Green Bay just signed Nicole Hardman.
like literally just signed.
Yeah, but
Wow.
That's kind
that's
of crazy.
that's kind of wild. But
I mean,
anyway, you can keep
Interesting
going.
signing.
they need a wide receiver one, and they take McCole Hardman. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that or not.
I wouldn't.
I mean, your entire wide receiver room is speedy, young, and speedy. Like I mean,
They're
Jaden
decently
Reed.
fast. I mean, if they have Watson, it really helps. But without
And then
Yeah,
Watson,
you
is
add
he?
you added an old vet with speed to the team. Makes no
I don't.
sense, in my
Well,
opinion.
the smaller size. Yeah,
it's all right. Hopefully,
McCole
it's
Hardman.
nothing too expensive. But
That's actually
All right.
really funny that happened exactly as we
right as we
are
started.
starting this. Yeah. Well, so
Interesting.
along with that, yeah, we're gonna be kind of recapping a little bit more of free agency, going over our mock draft, maybe in depth on some of the draft prospects too that are coming up on April 24th. Is when the first round's supposed to get kicked off. So,
Yep.
um, kind of just going off of, I guess we can branch off of the McCole Hardman here. Caleb, the Packers haven't really done anything crazy. I mean, they signed Nate Hobbs, of course. We talked about that last time. Um, and a lot of their players were expressing that they needed a true wide receiver one. Correction, not a lot of the players. I believe that was just Josh Jacobs that said that,
Yeah,
and they weren't very happy. But again, I mean, I agree, kind of like they need somebody to at least step up and be that true number one. Do you see anybody on your roster doing that?
I could see Jaden Reed possibly doing it. I think everyone would be willing to do that. It's just, do they have the talent to really do it? And I think Jaden
I
Reed has the
just
most talent of anybody on the team.
couldn't agree more with you there, Caleb.
He was not very good for me in fantasy the latter half of the season. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he started
Yeah,
off really strong beginning of the year.
yeah.
I mean,
He
what
didn't score me any touchdowns.
he had what almost 40 fantasy points week one against Philly and Brazil.
Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Are they going to Brazil again on
Yeah.
this year? They are. Okay.
Yep. You
Because
got
I guess the full
the
schedule obviously hasn't been
Chargers.
released. Oh, it is the Chargers. They confirmed that.
Yep. Chargers are hosting. They haven't quite said who is playing against the Chargers yet, but
I do kind of like that though.
Chargers are hosting.
I like that we added a Brazil game. I like that we still have the German over in Germany, and of course the London games that we do every year, just to try to branch out the NFL to more areas because there's a lot of fans from overseas that I mean, because they don't have anything like this. I mean, sure they got their soccer, or sorry, football is what they call it over there, but
And rugby.
and rugby, but I mean nothing's kind of close to American football besides rugby. And doing that, like the NFL hosting games over there, it is getting them more revenue, more fan base, more watches, more
More
subscriptions,
money.
probably to their NFL Plus and whatnot. And that way, if there are fans from over there, yeah, they can go to some of those games.
Oh yeah.
Um, and potentially, who knows in the future? You've already seen you can do it in franchise on Madden, but uh, what about like a expansion team from one of those areas? Like maybe, I mean, that would be kind of hard. I feel like playing
Yeah, I don't think
overseas,
that would work.
but I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why they did it, though.
I've seen the idea of that, but I don't really like the idea of expanding to different countries.
I think they should add a professional Iowa team.
Professional Iowa team.
I think all Iowans
Yes,
probably think that.
Caleb, we
yeah, cool. We have some minor league teams, but Man, we need like a professional
Caleb,
sport
we
over this
actually
way.
brainstormed that uh, a while back with our friend Jordan. You remember that? What did we decide on?
It was some like the Iowa Bucks. Something.
I thought it was Iowa Owls.
Oh yeah, it was Owls. That's what it was.
The Iowa Owls.
Yeah.
Who? Yeah. That would be an interesting like concept to bring. I mean, you'd probably want to put it smack dab in Des Moines, probably.
Most likely.
I
Nah,
Iowa City's got Kinnick, but Ames has got obviously Jack Trice. Des Moines, they didn't really have a bigger college, so
no. I mean, the closest thing that got down that way is DMAC, and that's just the community up here in Cedar Falls. We have UNI, but
it's actually interesting. I wonder if the NFL ever considered coming over and like doing that
I'm
at all. I
sure
wonder
they
if Iowa's
thought
ever been.
about maybe a while ago, but now they care so much about revenue. It'd be another small market team. I don't think they want to add a team that's small market when they already have like Green Bay and
It's true.
Seattle and whatnot.
That's
yeah.
probably true. I mean, a lot of St. Louis fans they want a team back out where they are. They
Yeah,
miss the
well,
Rams,
NFL moved
and
them just for that
yeah,
reason.
if you're old enough, you miss the Cardinals. Oh wait, is there a baseball team?
Yeah, St.
Maybe
Louis
my brain's
Cardinals.
not good. Oh, so never
You're
mind. You
right.
still have the Cardinals there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look at that. I
Yeah.
I'm referencing that video that the NFL came out with, like the entire history of the NFL. The Cardinals were somewhere, but they weren't in Arizona. That's all I can tell you.
Baltimore, I believe. Baltimore Cardinals.
They're the Baltimore Colts.
I'm think I was thinking the
You're
Colts.
thinking of
My
Yep,
bad.
you're thinking Colts. That's all right.
Yeah,
Maybe
the Cardinals
Chicago.
were.
It might have been a Chicago team. It's possible. There was like three of them at the time. I think
Yeah.
there's like two or three in Chicago or Illinois around that area. But that's not what. No. Um. So Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers have yet to sign anywhere. Um. I've seen a couple things today actually that uh, supposedly the Steelers are close to an agreement with him.
Yeah, I've also seen that.
Is that true?
I believe it is.
So I don't know. Does Aaron Rodgers really fit the Steelers scheme? I feel like probably.
Yeah, they're so used to having Big Ben back there, and I feel like Tom could cook and give Rodgers the Big Ben scheme that they had there for almost 15, 20 years. So
We had a
There
lot of
are different.
weapons for Aaron, so
That
mhm.
that is true, but they tried getting him weapons in New York, and that we see how that worked out.
yeah. Well,
So
New York is just another place where quarterbacks aren't a thing. Same thing with Cleveland and Chicago.
Chicago, really,
Tennessee,
Yeah.
yeah,
Jets are
Tennessee,
kind of
they've had a
like
couple.
Tennessee or not Tennessee. The Jets are like Tennessee. If you ever end up on a team, it's where your career goes to die.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers had
So
the best Jets quarterback season since probably like the 60s or 70s, and it still
since
doesn't
Namath,
matter. Yeah.
People hated them. The Jets owner, the owner's son, that was like he didn't want to trade for Jerry Judy because he was too low overall in Madden.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can let
I
you
don't know if
know.
that's real. I mean, I've seen
No, it
it,
was
but
it was real. Pat McAfee talked about it on his show and everything.
hmm.
He I'm pretty sure that that's what influenced it. But to have, I think he was like 19, 20. To have a 19 or 20-year-old manage how your team runs, I don't
That's not gonna
like
work.
based off a video game, nonetheless.
Yeah,
Sometimes the Madden ratings aren't really fully accurate, but
that is true.
last time we were here, the Josh Allen like extension was not a thing. He's got a new
Mm,
6-year deal with.
yeah, well, it was.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was.
Huh. Anyways, continue.
That 6-year deal worth $330 million. It's kind of reminiscent of Patrick Mahomes' 10-year deal worth $500 million a few years ago. Actually, I think after they actually won that Super Bowl, the first one with Patty Mahomes. But they also get Edge Joey Bosa. That I know that one happened like kind of right after we ended, or maybe as we were ending.
Yep.
They take Joey Bosa from the Chargers, who of course had to release him to find Khalil Mack back. Any other notable free agency moves since we've been gone for a week?
I mean, honestly,
Um,
not much really.
I know the Eagles just recently picked up Aziz Al Shahir or Aziz Ojolari. My
The
bad.
guy from the Giants.
Yep. On a 1 or 2 year
Yeah,
deal.
I
As
think
of
it was a
yesterday.
1 year deal. Yeah, 1 year deal, 6 million.
Yeah, Xavier
So
Woods actually signed with the Titans. I didn't even see that. He's old now. He's like 34,
I didn't see that either.
33.
33, 34. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just now looking at that. But yeah, a lot of the guys that are still being moved around are rotation players, probably depth, um,
Oh yeah, big
things
news
like
for
that.
Vikings fans. Harrison Smith has agreed to come back to a 1 year deal.
That
So you
is
guys
huge
get to
news for
keep
them.
Harry Hitman.
Is that
Still,
his actual
they're
nickname? I've
still
never heard
taking a
that.
safety this year.
Yeah. I have them taking Malachi Starks out of Georgia.
You see, yeah, the interesting thing about all of our mock drafts here, like I have Malachi Starks going to San Fran at 11 only because they lose, two guys in their secondary along with Dre Greenlaw. So Malachi Starks is probably hands down the best safety in the draft. Very
See,
athletic kid out of Georgia.
I've sat back, kind of thought about, what the 49ers should take. I think they should take a defensive lineman. They lost Hargrave. They lost, I believe they lost Leonard Floyd. Um, so they kind of need that defensive line help to help with Nick Bosa over there.
So yeah, in your mock draft too, you have Will Campbell out of LSU going there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Trent Williams is aging. He's only on a 1-year deal now.
I believe so.
So the Will Campbell signing, I mean, or draft or pick, I don't really argue with that. That's you know,
I don't have
that could
Will
be something that
Campbell
they look
falling
forward to
that
do.
far.
So number 11, yeah, me neither. I feel like there are teams right there in the top 10 that need them.
I believe me and you both have him going to New York Jets.
Yes, we both do. We both do have them going to New York. Which yeah, so that's pretty like I guess good. I think, a top 7 pick for an offensive lineman. When's the last time like an offensive lineman went in the top 5? I don't.
Joe Alt.
Mm,
Been
I don't know. The Joe
probably
Alt
Joe All.
fall. I don't think I think the Chargers picked at 9 last year, or I think it was past 5. That's for sure.
Oh,
Unless
the Giants tackle Thomas or whatever, Andrew Thomas. Didn't he
hmm,
go top 5?
um
I'm trying to think back, and my knowledge of previous drafts have kind of left my brain because I've been shoving my brain full of all these guys.
yeah, I don't
Yeah, I'm
really
not really sure,
remember off the top of my head.
but regardless, I think Will
Maybe he went
Campbell.
right at 5,
It's possible.
So he was a top pick.
but
Regardless, though, Will Campbell, I think, is a guy that if the teams absolutely needed him and didn't need any other position, I believe he could go in the top 5. Uh, possibly to the Jags or the Patriots even.
mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that brings me to like the top 3 in the top 5. Those teams right there, they really need a couple positions just to kind of really get going. Things will get shaken up as we get closer to it, of course. But the Titans, there's been talks and rumors they could absolutely trade back a little bit. Um, they could take a quarterback, obviously, with the number 1 pick. I don't think they're going to land either Russell or Aaron Rodgers since it sounds like he's getting closer to a Steelers deal.
Yeah.
The Browns aren't very. The Browns aren't going to land Russell Wilson either, from what I'm seeing. So both of those teams, they could use the quarterback, but do you want to take Cam Ward a number one, or do you,
I do have them taking Cam Ward at number one.
yeah,
I didn't take him
I would.
Abdul Carter.
I think I also have Abdul Carter. I mean, the best available, right? But he had that surgery, which is kind of, I could see him falling inside the top 5 at least. But if you're the Titans, you need a quarterback. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders is right there. I personally think Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this class. And then from Shedeur on down to Jaden Miller and Jackson Dart, I don't really think there's a lot of separation between their talent and level
Mm-mm.
that they play at. Which I know Shedeur is just getting absolutely hammered by critics and scouts and everything like that. But he claims that the tape speaks for itself, and he's going to completely flip around whatever program takes him. It's good to have that kind of mindset, but how many people have had that mindset and then ended up getting into a system in the NFL
Like Jamarcus Russell.
and realizing that NFL teams, well, Jamarcus Russell, he didn't put any effort into it. He did that. No, he was lazy
And I mean, then you could say Johnny Manziel.
potentially, but he also partied a lot
Yeah, that's true.
and cared less. So it seems like Shador definitely cares.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, that's what preseason is for. You gotta use your first look at them against a real NFL defense, at least for the first couple weeks. Or I'm sorry, at least
Oh,
for the second half of the preseason, because then by then you're getting absolutely ready to get going. Caleb, you have Travis Hunter and going to the Browns at pick 2 with Cam Ward at 1, of course, the Titans. Do you think the Browns are going to roll with Deshaun Watson again?
I mean, I really don't know what the Browns are going to do. I have a couple drafts, kind of cooked up, but this is the one that I felt, I guess, most likely to happen because in my other drafts, I really have Travis Hunter falling all the way down to 8 and past, 8 and farther down. So, but I don't know if that'll really happen, just because the hype around Travis Hunter. So, um, I really don't know what the Browns are going to do with their quarterback situation. But
So
yeah.
I think they could take the best player available, which would be probably Travis Hunter.
that's a good point, because I personally do also think that within those top 5, like whoever's been taken before you, you just go for that best available,
That's what
because
I'm also thinking.
you look further down the board and there's not really anybody groundbreaking, um, which kind of sucks to say, but like I wouldn't say it's a bad draft class. There's just not a lot of separation, so it's not a lot of
It's definitely a weak quarterback
out
class.
that and outside the top 4 maybe. You're not going to find a lot of separation between the talent level and all that. So um, there could be obviously room for potential trades on our mock drafts. We don't have any trades as of right now.
There definitely will be. I mean, there's always a trade on draft night.
Yep, one team usually tries to make it big. There's been a couple rumors in other mock drafts I've seen of influencers like Bengal and whatnot. They have like the Raiders turning up to number 1, and taking Travis Hunter or something like that, which that would be kind of interesting. I feel like Pete Carroll and the Raiders, they I could see them using him both sides of the ball where he's needed. They need a receiver bad, but they also could use help in the secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could also see them like in my mock draft. Obviously, I could see him taking uh defensive line, just because in that division with Justin Herbert and Mahomes and now Bo Nix, I mean, you're going to need to get to the quarterback to be able to have a chance. Kind of like the Eagles did in the Super Bowl. I mean, they were just on Mahomes the whole game, so maybe the Raiders follow that blueprint and really added on that defensive line with Christian Wilkins and then Max Crosby.
Max Crosby. I I honestly can't agree more. But you know, they need a receiver.
They do.
Like Jacoby Myers can't do everything,
It's just
and
I think it's one of those things where there's
they got
there's a decent amount of receiver talent. I think they could find someone later.
yeah, and like
I
you
agree.
know, Jacoby Myers, he can't do everything. Brock Bowers, he's young. You don't want him to get the ball every single catch and then have to take the hit. When Devontae was traded there and he had to play with that shitty quarterback room that they had, you know, the show on Netflix, the receiver, he said he wanted to get out of Vegas. He was never hit that hard, so they need that. My opinion, that big name wide receiver that, and honestly, they could get with Tedatoria, McMillan, or Travis Hunter.
Absolutely. Kind of maybe think of it like how the Lions do with Sam Laporta. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown to take some of the heat off of Sam, because Sam could absolutely take over a game, and we've seen it evident enough in some of the games.
Oh
But
yeah,
it definitely would take some heat off of him, and put a lot less pressure off of Brock Bowers if the Raiders are able to get their hands on a receiver. But like Caleb said, I do think that they can find somebody definitely viable to fit into that number one, maybe number two slot, um, later on in the second round. Not they gave the third to Seattle, but um, absolutely they could even maybe they trade back themselves. Maybe they don't even maybe they trade back to outside the top 15 and see if Emike Ibuka is there, and
very much
get
could
some
do
more
that.
capital back for later on too. There's a lot of talk of trading, and the Raiders are one of those teams that I can see pretty much doing anything. On my mock draft, I have them taking Ashton Genty or Genty. I always butcher names, but you guys will get very used to that.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
with the Raiders, it's gonna be pick your poison type play. You know, whether they take defensive lineman, well, they're not getting that wide receiver possibly in that first round. They're gonna have to pick their poison on who they draft.
and it might be another one of those cases again, like Caleb was saying, how it might just be pick the best available. So you get down to number 6, and you've got guys like Will Campbell, Will Johnson, Ashton Genty. Those are probably your best available. Who do you take?
And I could also see the Raiders taking Gene just because it's Pete Carroll. He likes to have a good someone back
The
there
power back.
in the backfield.
A hard nose.
He
So
likes his power backs. You look back and Pete Carroll's running backs in the past years have been Marshawn Lynch, K9, which he's in a power elusive back, and that's honestly what Genty is. So, I mean, I could see him because Zamir, he just isn't that number one running back factor that you can really trust to carry the ball like Josh Jacobs could in Vegas.
Yeah, and I believe wasn't Pete Carroll the coach for USC at the time of Reggie Bush, or
I believe so.
I believe so as well.
so it's just kind of evident there, even with him getting stripped and then later reinstated for the Heisman. But it'll be interesting to see what the Raiders do. I feel like the Jets now getting Justin Fields, they probably need to protect him a little bit better than they tried protecting Aaron Rodgers, which they made a couple free agent signings. I believe they took a guard or a tackle. What was that, last year's draft for him? I don't know if it was
Yes.
first round, but I know
Yeah,
they
I
took
believe it
someone.
was first round, and yeah,
Yep. So you bring Will Campbell in, another young guy, arguably probably the best tackle in the draft. just kind of like NFL ready wise, and you put him into the offense and protect Justin Fields. Let him get to work because Steelers they have a pretty decent O line, and Fields netted like 1,400 yards and five was it 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, or 4 touchdowns, 1 pick
I believe it was
with
five
five
Something
rushing
like
one.
that.
touchdowns.
Yeah, 5-1.
Yeah, so 10 total touchdowns with only 1 interception and like a above average completion percentage.
I
You
have
know,
seen some things where it's the Jets trading up to hopefully grab Cam Ward or Sheduer Sanders, but I feel like if they did want to do that, they wouldn't have signed Fields the deal that they did. And
hmm
I don't really think they're gonna want a rookie learning behind Fields. No shade on Justin Fields, but he's still a work in progress as well. So
right. Which I believe he's going to be 27 here soon, if not already. So he's getting he's getting to that point where it's kind of make it or break it. This is about where Carson Wentz was
Mm-hmm.
um, with his last stint with the Commanders and the Colts, kind of his last try. Um,
Yep.
and now he's just a solidified backup. Like that's he'll never be more than that again. So Justin Fields doesn't want to be in that position, obviously, but he gets signed to a 2-year deal with the Jets. And like Caleb was saying, you don't get signed to a 2-year deal just for them to take a rookie. Maybe later on, maybe fourth round if somebody
maybe
fell to
next
you,
year's
maybe,
draft.
and that too. But as of right now, if probably not. You got to see how Justin Fields plays in that style of offense. He's also reunited with, um,
Garrett Wilson.
yeah, Garrett Wilson. Thank you. Reunited with
Mhm.
his Ohio State buddy. So who knows? Maybe they're a lot better than everybody's going to be expecting.
Well, yeah,
See
they did
that?
have a coaching change as well, so we'll see how Aaron Glenn does.
Exactly. Yeah. You guys got any other mock draft questions or point outs?
Um, let's see.
I know there's a couple in here. I just don't want to talk over you guys the entire time. There's a couple in here though that I do have questions about, but I'll let you
Um,
go ahead, Caleb.
Honestly, fire. I mean, throw them out.
I do have one question about Jesse's fourth round pick, or what? Fourth
Wow,
overall pick.
my fourth round.
Taking Patriots taking Tedder McMillan at 4.
hmm
Yeah, the Patriots. They're just a team that they need a wide receiver, and
They do.
Tetaroa. He's a guy that I've seen in the top 10. I've had him in my top 10 of just everybody in the entire draft. He's a great receiver for Arizona. He is, in my eyes, he is the number one receiver in this. Emike Buka definitely takes a stand on that, but Tetaroa has just got amazing size and athleticism for that size and frame. Great hands, great concentration. Um, and the Patriots, like I said, they need a wide receiver. You get Drake May coming into a sophomore year. You get him a nice offensive weapon. They really don't have anybody else. They still have Devontae Parker. I don't even know. Like I
Devontae
know they
Parker.
have. I know they got
They
Kevin Boutte.
Booty. Yep. And then they have the other young receiver
Jalen Polk,
Davis.
or no?
Yep, Jalen
Jalen
Is
Polk.
Polk.
is
I
Polk
think
on
he's
the
on that team.
Patriots?
I
Yes,
believe.
he's on the Patriots. He just didn't really pan out in the first year. To be honest, he's one of those receivers that it's very toss up. I mean, don't get me wrong, they didn't really have the offensive line nor the big threats to kind of help with that. But they have that other receiver, Brown or Davis or whatever it is, on the team. God, I can't think of his name right now. He was drafted last year.
That's okay. But again, you get yourself a true wide receiver one. I feel like, and they also, along with the Jets, they also do have a new head coach as
Demario
well.
Douglas is who I'm thinking of for the
That's
other receiver.
yes, it is Demario Douglas. Yep. So yeah, um, it's definitely obviously in top four, maybe, but I feel like Patriots absolutely go with him. I mean, you go with best available and what you desperately need. You want Drake May to have those weapons.
I guess yeah, our drafts are different because I do have, instead of Abdul Carter going number one, I have him going to um the Patriots,
Patriots.
just because I think if Abdul Carter doesn't get picked number one, I don't really. I mean, I could see the Browns taking him, but they just re-signed Myles Garrett, so. And I mean, and I think the Giants are definitely going to take Sheduer. They've been talking to him since, I mean, a year ago. There's a strong connection there, so
Hmm.
I think he falls to 4. And Mike Vrabel, um, he used to play linebacker, so I
That's
think
true.
That's
he'll
true.
like that pick.
You
You know,
think they'll do better with their second ex linebacker on the Patriots?
possibly. I do want to point out with your pick, Jesse, or your draft. I know me and Caleb both have Malachi Starks dropping down to pick 24 to the Vikings. You have him going. God, I'm trying to find him on yours.
This is the old mock draft. I didn't have him picked.
Yeah,
But
in this one, I
this was
also was.
before.
He was just talking about Malachi Starks going somewhere, and I was like, oh, I don't see him on the mock draft, so I don't know if I did something wrong, but I went and looked, and it
No,
looks right. So
I want I want Malachi Starks where Jade Barron is right now on my mock draft. Because yeah, this one I did a couple days ago before I got into thinking about, oh my gosh, all the safeties and the needs of different teams. Like I still have the Seahawks
Mm,
taking Luther Burden the third here, which that's not going to happen. We got Cooper Cup for 3 years at least. Um,
yeah.
so again, if we take a wide receiver, it's not going to be till later. We have plenty of draft capital, but I
I
like Malachi Starks going 11 to San Fran.
I do think the
Yeah.
Seahawks take Tataroa.
See, Tetaroa falling to 18 is
I mean,
crazy in my
it's
eyes.
definitely a toss up, but I mean, right now, um, there's a little bit of questions about his actual speed and his just his quickness. I mean, he had his pro day and he apparently ran a 4.45 or 4.5 flat, but there's no video of it and there's no really proof of it. So I mean, I'm not saying he's gonna fall because of that, but there is questions about how fast he really is.
No,
Which
I'm.
Which kind
go
of
ahead.
also, I mean, that kind of messes. I guess that kind of counters what I'm trying to say because I think Seattle needs a guy on the outside, and Cooper Cup and JSN I don't think are those outside guys. So I think that's what Tedero could be for Seattle. But
I'm looking at our mock drafts as well. Me and Caleb both have James Pierce Jr. Going to Carolina. Jess, you have Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan, going to Carolina.
I could
Yeah,
see it.
so earlier on I saw Will Johnson go into probably the Jets, but like I mentioned before about Will Campbell and probably the need for more protection for Justin Fields. You want to give your lead horse the best. He's the guy I understand. You want to give him the best possibility to succeed. Um, Will Johnson falling right after that. He's an amazing corner out of Michigan, very physical and tough. He would definitely fit well with JC Horn on that Panther defense. Um, they have quite a few gaps that they need to fill, but out of best available right there, you're gonna have Will Johnson at
I could
7
see it happening
or 8.
if he
So
falls that far, but like I have him going to the Jags at 5. So
Yes.
see, yeah, it's all up in the air, really. Like because Mason Graham, for me, I have him going to the Jags, and they need somebody on that interior defensive line to really kind of take a stand. Um, but it's all up in the air. Which, yeah, Will Johnson could absolutely be going to the Panthers. I thought you were talking about. I thought you were going to say something about James Pierce. I was like, wait. The only
Yeah,
reason
you're all
why
good.
I have James Pierce falling down the board to probably the Packers or anybody who's willing to take him really is just because of those um, personality issues that were brought up by I forgot who it was, either one of Tennessee's like scouts or assistant coaches or someone that he just he's got that I don't care attitude and
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Which I don't know. You don't want a guy that's not good in the locker room, or a guy that's like that. So that's the reason why I have him falling down. And I mean, I can't remember exactly who said it, but you can look it up on Twitter. There was quite a few posts about it that I seen about his personality concerns, about him slipping outside of even the first round, because of those. So I think a team in the first round will definitely still take a chance on him, because he's
He's
great.
arguably
He's a great
generational.
athlete. He's a great athlete. I don't think he surpasses Abdul Carter in any way personally, but um, if you do have those personality concerns, you probably a lot of teams might miss you taking you on like a higher pick.
No, I'm looking at these again, and not to pick on you here, Jesse, but and I know the talks earlier about you having Jency going 6 to the Raiders, but me and Caleb also have Jency going to the Bears at pick 10. I feel like that's a good pick for him and a good suitable pick, just due to the fact of I've watched DeAndre Swift's game or his clips and his videos when he was in Detroit. When he was on Philly, he was making very questionable ball carrier um lanes, and just thoughts through his mind just aren't very
His vision
clear when
wasn't
he
there.
has the ball in his hand. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yeah, I agree. So I feel like them taking Genty at 10 would be a very good pick to go there, because obviously Dallas, they don't need a running back anymore with him picking up Najee, or not Najee, Javante. So I feel like he drops down to the 10, and they take best available right there, because they don't really need any receivers. They don't need linemen. They don't need really anything on defense. So I feel like the best thing for them would be to take Genty at 10.
I see. I
No,
think
I
I don't think Jesse has him going to the Bears at 10 because he has them. He has the Raiders taking Jinty, and
Yes.
yep.
so
Which
He has
I still have the Bears
Amari.
taking. I still have the Bears taking a running back, which kind of to piggyback off what you just said. So yeah, they don't need offensive linemen. They just brought in a bunch of great offensive linemen. Um, and DeAndre Swift, he's not going to be the one to do it. So what you need is take some of the heat off of Caleb Williams, bring in a guy who can actually see the hole and hit the hole hard and fast. Both Gene T and Omarion Hampton would be absolutely stellar at that. But like I just like Pete Carroll having that hard nosed, tough running back, which that's what Genty is. So that's why I have Omarion Hampton go in there. I feel like the Bears would like a little bit more athletically speed wise, because Genty has that breakaway speed. We've seen it. But Omarion Hampton is a little bit more shifty. He's got a smaller frame.
yeah, I
Yeah,
do have the Cowboys taking. I know they just signed Javante Williams and who else did they sign?
Miles
Miles
Sanders.
Sanders, yeah.
Miles Sanders, yeah, but I do have them taking Marion Hampton.
So with me, I have the Cowboys taking Jahad Campbell, I believe linebacker out of Alabama. They
Yeah,
just need a linebacker there. They let go of Eric Kendricks, um, and Marquise Bell. He's more that like safety linebacker type thing with Isaiah Simmons kind of similarity. They just need that true middle linebacker there. So that's who I have them taking.
That's really not a bad pick. Did they? What happened to Leighton Vander Esch?
Lane Vander Esch recently retired, I believe,
yeah, I'm pretty
2
sure
years ago.
he's gonna
Yeah, I
retire.
was gonna say he retired early, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he had a
Yeah,
lot of
he
neck
he
So
did a
issues.
Luke Kuechly,
he kind of did.
retired early.
Not as prominent as Kuechly was, but still
Mm.
he was a I would say top 10 middle linebacker in the league at the time. And that he's
Oh
playing
yeah,
his best football.
Yeah, he was pretty good when Sean
So
Lee was still there. He kind of came
yeah,
and Sean Lee was kind of
it
the
was a combo.
granddad, and yeah,
Yep, I mean it's just like Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis. They complemented each other so well that it was just arguably a top 10 linebacking core in the league at the time.
which that kind of brings me to my next point. on my mock draft, which I don't know if this has even been seen before, but yeah, I have two tight ends going back to back. The last time that this maybe could have happened would have been TJ Hawkinson and Noah Fant. I don't think they did though. I think they were spread apart by a couple picks or
I believe so. Yes.
but we've seen plenty of time before where three tight ends taken in the first round. So the Dolphins, you need a tight end. I think yeah, you definitely take Tyler Warren. He's arguably the best. Colston Loveland is a really great guy as well, but the Colts will get him at 14, and it could be vice versa. You know, different scouts on different teams, they have different grades for everybody. So maybe the Dolphins have Colston Loveland graded higher than they do Tyler Warren, and maybe they go Loveland, or like I said, it could be vice versa. But I think to make both of those teams better with their quarterback situations and um like the receiver talent that they do have, which Dolphins still have Tyreek Hill, Colts still have Michael Pittman. You get another guy in there that's a big pass catcher. Both of those teams need it. So back to back tight ends could definitely be something on the block.
See, the Dolphins pick, I have them taking Amanda Mambu, and then the Colts taking Tyler Warren myself.
I do have the Colts taking Tyler Warren.
I
Yeah.
feel like Loveland will drop down to the Chargers. Just with all the people that are after picking after the Colts. You got the Falcons. They have Pitts. Cardinals. They have McBride. Bengals. They have I believe Gesicki. Seahawks. Noah Fant. Bucks. They have Kate Otten. Broncos just recently signed, Evan Ingram, and then the Steelers, they have Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth. Like, I feel like the Loveland drops down to the Chargers, and they take him because they don't really have anybody that's stellar at the defense or at the tackle. I mean, what they have, maybe Will Disley
Will
or
Disley,
and then Gerald Everett.
I don't think I think Gerald Everett's a free agent still.
Oh, well, I mean, either
But
way, like they just don't have that tight end position 100% secured like the other teams do
I just think
at
if
the
Jim
moment.
Harbaugh would be getting his
falls,
guy back.
yeah, if he falls that far, there's no way Jim Harbaugh allows him to fall anywhere else.
Yeah,
I
absolutely
agree.
not. But based off what those two teams need, uh definitely tight ends in my eyes. Which the Colts, they're another team, which there's honestly half the league could be looking to do this, but they're another team that would probably be open to taking a quarterback, in round 2 or 3.
Yeah, I could see. I can, you know, going back to that quarterback position and going off what you said. I know Caleb here has Jackson Dart going to the Steelers. I think that he falls to the second, third round, and the Raiders possibly take him, or the Giants. The Giants might even take him if they pass up on Shador and they take somebody else, or if they happen to sign Russ or Rodgers.
I just want to
Or
point
I could,
out that the Jackson Dart thing on my mock draft is me guaranteeing that Rodgers signs with the Steelers.
okay.
Um, just like I don't think the Steelers really have a glaring need that they need to address immediately, and I think that's why they could take Jackson Dart. Um, I know
Let him
Jesse
develop behind
has,
Rodgers.
yeah, I know Jesse has Shador falling to the Steelers, but I don't think Shador falls that far. So
I have Jalen
I think the
Walker
Steelers
going
could
there.
fix more of what they. I don't know how to describe this really, but I think they could find more of their fixes in later rounds than immediately in round one. I guess if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Oh,
I could see
absolutely.
that. Kind of want to go
Which
off of the James Pierce thing that Jesse said earlier in his mock draft. He obviously has Green Bay taking him. Um, and Caleb has Amike dropping all the way down there. I have Mikael Williams going down there. I feel like they need that defensive interior more than they need that out defensive end
which he
position
is
more.
edge. Mikel Williams is an edge.
He's an edge. Oh well,
Yeah, he's a
either
true edge.
Who are we talking about right now? The Packers?
yes.
Yeah,
See, the Packers, they I don't think they take a defensive interior just because they're still banking on Devontae Wyatt to kind of break out,
have
former
this
first
breakout.
rounder,
Yeah,
and then Kenny Clark to hopefully have a rebound year this year because he didn't really have a good year um this year. So
Past year.
if I and I could see them taking an edge rusher first round. It's just I don't know if they're still banking on Lucas Finesse to take that leap and Rashawn Gary to kind of solidify himself as a good edge rusher in the league. He also didn't have the best year last year, so I think they're gonna bank. Knowing Green Bay, they're gonna bank on their hope for the previous picks, and then if Ibuka falls that far, I could see them taking that.
which they didn't have a bad defense last year.
No, our
Not
our
Mm.
not at all.
our defense was finally top 15, top 10 in most categories for the first time in a long
Yeah,
time. It's just our
when they played
the
Seattle, it was
issue.
awful.
Yeah, we just had we just had a hard time getting to the quarterback without blitzing. So
Which
and Brian Gutekunst, our GM, also said that we need to be able to get to the quarterback rushing four. So I don't really hate the mock edges going to Green Bay. I just don't know if they do it in the first round.
which this brings up another good point again, and something that you guys are gonna keep seeing me hit on is that there's not a ton of separation. There's a lot of good edges, and I say good, but that's the thing. They're all kind of the same, um, outside of Abdul Carter and possibly James Pierce negating the personality issues. So you could definitely find somebody in round two,
Yeah, that's my thought
um,
process.
for an edge. Like I can't remember his name, but there's a couple out of it's the guy from Boston College,
Donovan
or
Elizabeth or,
I don't know how to say his
or
name, so I'm not
well,
even gonna try.
Izuruku,
Yeah,
Izuraku.
I believe so.
I,
Either
I
way,
do
we're just
have
gonna
him
call
going
him.
to Detroit.
We're just gonna
I
call
have
him
him going in
Donovan
the first
E.
round too, but
I think we all
there's
have
a
him going
couple
in the
of them.
first round. Me and Jesse have him going to Detroit, and Braden has him going to
To
the
Tampa.
Bucks. Yeah, so
Yeah, but like I said, there's a lot of guys that you're gonna get the same amount of talent out of that you could find in later rounds.
Couldn't agree more, right there. I'm gonna kind of step away a little bit on the defensive line perspective that we have going, but I have the Ravens taking Matthew Golden, I believe receiver out of Texas. Me and Jesse both have him going pick 27 to the Ravens. Um, Caleb, you have Banks Jr. out of Texas going to the Ravens. What's your thought process on that?
I just I think I know that Ronnie Staley just re-signed, I believe, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yes.
So I mean, I think what they could do is just kind of plan for the future and um take an offensive lineman kind of on the interior side and give Lamar. I know Lamar is an athlete; he can avoid pressure and whatnot, but you don't want to have him getting hit all the time and taking all those hits. So, and their offensive line's not bad. I mean, they do have Derrick Henry, and he ran for 1,000,000 yards. So, but I don't. If like off the top of my head, I can't name the Ravens
A
left
million
guard or
yards.
right guard. So
Yeah, neither can I. I
They
just
had that
feel
guy that
like,
did a DUI, honestly, but
yeah,
I don't
I
think he
feel
was a
like,
starter.
I mean, I know DeAndre Hopkins just recently signed with Baltimore. This past week, I feel like they got to solidify themselves with a number two receiver to complement and back up with Zay Flowers.
see, yeah,
And D Hop,
I
he's just too
think
old.
they're gonna bank on Zay Flowers kind of popping off, breaking out, and then I mean I definitely I definitely believe they will take a receiver in this draft, but again it's just kind of that thing where they could find it in the second round, third round,
Mm-hmm.
and take best player available.
Kind of moving past all of our mock drafts and everything here, because a lot of them, there's definitely places that certain players could end up falling, or we might see some reaches as well. But kind of moving on from that and all the trades that could possibly happen, who do you guys think so far in this free agency is the biggest winner and the biggest loser? Caleb, we'll start with you.
Well, I definitely think the Broncos, are the biggest winners of free agency. Just they had a ton of good key additions with Hafunga and Dre Greenlaw and Evan Ingram. Um, I do also think the Vikings had a really good. Unfortunately, they had a really good. Um, they're having a good offseason so far. I would say the Bears are up there too, but I mean they definitely filled some needs, but
Yeah.
they're not great. I guess. Um.
They're not
Uh.
good enough to compete in that division for
I
the number
just
one
don't
position.
think they're like high level signings. The Joe Tooney thing, the guard from the Chiefs, he is really good, but he's also what 32, 33.
Yeah.
So you never really know
Mhm.
at that age. I mean, some offensive linemen can play till they're 35 and older. It's just that's kind of like you really gotta bank on the injury thing. But I still think they did have a good offseason.
What about your loser?
You know, if I had to pick, I haven't really thought about this, but off the top of my head, I'd probably have to pick San Francisco or mm, I think I'm just gonna stay with San Francisco as my loser. They just lost. I
Yeah.
mean, they they are only returning 11 of their 22 starters from the Super Bowl team 2 years ago. So
That is very true.
Braden, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I want to throw out some honorable mentions right here with who I think won. Obviously Vikings. I think they did great in free agency. Another team I think did great too. Obviously, these two teams won't be competing in for top of the division, but Carolina and New England, I feel like they added a lot of key acquisitions to their teams. But ultimately, I think Denver won free agency by a mile. You know, the Tyler Hufanga, they solved their safety position after they lost Justin Simmons last year. Dre Greenlaw. That's your middle slash outside linebacker right there. That is your field general out there on the team. And Evan Ingram, I mean, just you got your tight end. They're one receiver away from a full offense, in my opinion.
and that is why I
Um,
have them taking Matthew Golden from Texas
Hmm.
okay.
just for that
Now
reason.
my losers. I have obviously, San Fran. I think they messed up really bad, but I think I'm gonna go with. I gotta think. Then I'm gonna go with Seattle ultimately.
Don't blame me,
You
really.
know, like they lost DK. They let go of a lot of people too. And who no offense, he's all right, but he just isn't that top tight end. Darnold, he had a miraculous last year, but he still has a
It
lot to
won't be
prove.
repeated.
Yeah, I mean, he has a lot to prove to be worth that 3-year, $100 million contract, and they need safeties, arguably. They need They need a couple more linebackers. They need to work on that D end. They got to work on that offense. I feel like they let go of DK on stupidly, stupidly, you know, deal. And same thing with Gino. Like they have so many holes now that are they gonna be able to fill that in the draft or even next year in free agency or and a draft? I feel like they are ultimately the biggest losers so far. in free agency. So I'm gonna leave
I
that to
do.
you now, Jesse.
I will say we did get a lot of draft capital back, so some of those holes can be addressed. I don't think they'll be fully fixed, but they can certainly be addressed as far as like the maybe the secondary and of course the linebackers. And I don't
Okay.
entirely agree with everything that Seattle's doing. I'm actually going to start with my loser, which Seattle being an honorable mention for me. I I don't like what the Browns have been doing, which really is a whole lot of nothing. But they just spent a bag on Miles Garrett, which, by the way, he said it was never about the money, but that deal says otherwise.
It was completely about the money, but yeah.
Like,
So whatever he's spouting to the press and the media, that's just he's telling them what he thinks they want to hear. But it's
I
evident
kind
enough
of
right
wanna.
there in that deal. And Joe Tryon, that signing on a 1 year deal, sure, you get somebody else off the edge to complement Miles Garrett. You get Malik Collins on a 2 year deal, and Devin Bush agreed to a 1 year deal with them. But
I kind of want
Kenny
to go off
Pickett,
of.
go ahead.
I kind of want to go off of that Miles Garrett wordage. I know he posted out a tweet, or the Browns might have, but he said, yeah, it wasn't really about the money, and he wanted to go win a Super Bowl, but he's happy in Ohio, and he's good with a lot of the foundations and the like children's hospital over that way, and a lot of like the community type things. So he goes, oh yeah, it's not about the money, but the money is always a good thing at the end of the day. I would like to win a Super Bowl, but who knows what that's going to come out to be here in Ohio.
Which maybe they were just asking for ridiculous amount, like ridiculous trades. Maybe they didn't like what they were seeing when they were looking. I don't really hear of any
Well,
offers that were
was
made.
he on the
So
last?
he requested a
Was
trade,
he a
and I
free
don't.
agent? I mean, I didn't know
Miles
they were
Garrett
No, I
looking
don't think
for
so.
wasn't
trades. I
I don't
thought he
think
was
he
just a
was.
free agent, and
Miles Garrett wasn't a free agent. They gave him wordage to look for a trade, but nobody
Yep.
wanted to take him because of they would have had to re-sign him. And Philly, we were in a good hunt for him, but man, we don't have the cap space to sign him to a 40 million a year deal. I'm sorry, we don't. And a lot of the teams just were like, yeah, we don't want to spend the money for somebody like you currently right now with how our team's looking.
Which
So
I'm
that's why
assuming that that's what it was. Yeah, it was they didn't. He wanted a lot of money to play on a good team, which all those good teams don't have a lot of money to give you. Um, but this new deal also includes a no trade clause. So he won't have any say about next time in case that does go into play. But he'll be, 33, 34 by the time that happens. It says it ties him to the Browns for the next 6 years, and he's already what 29, 30.
something
So
like that, yeah.
absolutely insane of a deal. Um, so I think you take an L right there. Um, Trading Dorian Thompson Robinson for Kenny Pickett. Uh, you don't get any better doing that. And the other three signings that I mentioned, along with the offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas, the Browns have the biggest L in my book. Um, and the biggest winner in this year's free agency so far, we'll come back after the draft too and do some more of this because that'll be interesting. We all have our own draft grades that we're going to also present then, but it's it's a very close race for me between the Broncos, who I'm going to say take the cake because they really left 49ers defense in shambles and then acquired two great guys, Evan Ingram. So the Broncos definitely won. Second place has to be the Commanders. They did a fantastic job retaining all the players they needed to retain, re-signing um, Bobby Wagner again to another year, and as well as getting Debo Samuel and a couple other key guys that are gonna really kind of fit and mold. So what you're truly banking on is Jaden Daniels to not have a sophomore slump for him to come in and play the exact they'll play at a higher level than he even did last year. And now you got even more guys around him, not only weapon wise, just as a whole team that could definitely do that. So Commanders will be knocking on the door for that Broncos #1 spot, but we'll see come closer to the draft.
Can't agree more with you there, Jesse. You know, they kind of fleeced. I mean, I'm just gonna put it like this: the entire league fleeced the Niners with everything. I mean, they did this a little over 10 years ago. So, I mean, Niners fans are used to it at this point. So, yeah.
That's what they deserve.
It truly is. Um, Obviously, you're a Packers fan, so losing to them in every NFC championship you've ever seen, and then me as, of course, the Seahawks fan, having to play against them twice a year, and then also losing to them in the wild card or first round divisional. So not very fun, but that's gonna be just about it. We got the draft coming up in April. We'll be keeping you guys updated next week on any more new signings, any possible trades that are occurring. Like Caleb mentioned earlier, they can happen anytime. The McCole Hardman signing. We got some YouTube video ideas that we're going to be coming out with here in the next couple of weeks. TikToks. I've been posting over there every day. There will be one coming out after this mock draft later tonight. We've got our Twitter again, Twitter, Instagram. We're over here on YouTube and Spotify as well. Both of those places for the actual podcast itself. Caleb, Braden, you guys have any other closing thoughts?
I mean, not that I can think of at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think there's anything else I can really add on to.
So, yep, we don't want to kind of blow your guys' brains up all in one sitting. We're going to come back next week, talk about some more of those things. And as we get closer to the draft, of course, more and more mock drafts are going to be shaken up. So go ahead, follow, subscribe, do whatever you guys got to do to all of those. Go ahead and comment down below about who you would like to see moved around in the mock draft, or perhaps any trades you want to see in the mock draft too. And we'll be keeping up with you guys on all of our socials. Thanks for watching.